Hey, how's everybody doing? Today I'll be going over what critics thought about each movie in the John Wick franchise. I was surprised to see how the ratings trended for these films, and as always, I hope you enjoy. What were movie critics' reactions to the original John Wick? John Wick is a 2014 action thriller starring Keanu Reeves. This movie created quite the buzz when it first came out, and it seemed to propel Keanu Reeves back into the spotlight. A retired assassin, John Wick is left looking for revenge, and the entire film just has a lot of satisfying moments and scenes that make it a fun watch. That being said, what do the critics on Rotten Tomatoes think about it? On Rotten Tomatoes, John Wick gets an 86% critic score and an 81% audience score. For the OG John Wick, I was honestly expecting a slightly higher rating, maybe in the light to mid 90s. Let me know your thoughts on this movie and if you would give it a score in the 90s as well. What were movie critics' thoughts on John Wick Chapter 2? John Wick Chapter 2 is a 2017 action thriller starring Keanu Reeves. With the incredible success of the first movie, it only made sense to make a sequel, and 3 years later, exactly that happened. This time, despite John Wick's plans to resume a quiet civilian life, a hit is put out on him for a large sum of money, and it seems every hitman in the entire world wants to kill John Wick. From John Wick Chapters 1 to 3, I always found this was my personal favorite. The constant introduction of new characters and scenes makes the movie feel fresh throughout, and that being said, what did the movie critics think about it? On Rotten Tomatoes, John Wick Chapter 2 gets an 89% critic score and an 85% audience score. Being rated around as well as the first movie, that's a good sign, especially since it's hard for a lot of sequels to be able to achieve that. Let me know, is John Wick Chapter 2 your favorite movie out of the Wick franchise? Did John Wick Chapter 3 meet expectations? John Wick Chapter 3 is a 2019 action thriller starring Keanu Reeves. After Wick loses his hitman protective services and is also left with a $14 million bounty, John is once again a wanted man. I ended up originally watching this film a couple years after it came out, and overall I believe it delivered on what it promised. Entertaining and creative fight scenes, dark and modern cinematics, and perfect sound effects and music choice. That being said, what do the critics think about it? On Rotten Tomatoes, John Wick Chapter 3 gets an 89% critic score and an 86% audience score. The scores stay consistent with the first two films, and for a third installation in the franchise, that is more than you could ever ask for. What are your thoughts on John Wick Chapter 3? Did you know this about the fourth John Wick movie? John Wick Chapter 4 is a 2023 action thriller starring Keanu Reeves. With Wick trying to defeat the High Table, he might have met his match with a new unexpected enemy. The cinematics and camera work seem to level up again with this new installation, meaning that the franchise seems to be improving movie after movie. All that being said, what does John Wick Chapter 4 get on Rotten Tomatoes? It gets a 94% critic score and a 93% audience score, which, fun fact, is the highest rated movie out of any of the John Wick films. Very rare when a movie series continues to pull higher numbers year after year, which then of course begs the question, will John Wick Chapter 5 do even better?